Okay, we're live. Welcome, Stephanie. I'm so glad you're here and sharing your story as a super loved alum. And um, I'm just so I'm just so excited for what women are going to be able to receive from you sharing this because I know that when we first started working together, there were a lot of challenges in your world that um, clearly have been transformed. And we're going to dive into the details of that so that women who are also experiencing those things have hope for their future in love. So, will you share a little bit about you, where you live, how old you are, what you've gone through to before you came to the super loved world?
Sure. So I live in Northwest Illinois, outside of Chicago. I'm 57. I was married and with my former husband for about 22 years. I've been divorced 6 years. Started with you, Macy, about, oh gosh, it's a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Summer of 2020, just summer of 2020. Um, and I had a lot. And I remember seeing you on I think maybe a panel of women or something. I In the summer of 2020, I was looking at a lot of different things, but in regards to just trying to improve myself. And you caught my eye because you were talking about the rim sessions that you did. So that really pulled me in because I knew that I had a lot in my past. I came from an abusive relationship, and now I know more abusive and with my family. But so that really interested and pulled me in, and I just loved your vibe too. I loved just how you were as a person. And so that's why I reached out to you. But I was probably more so looking to change me as a person more than really start dating. But I wanted to date, but I really at that point didn't know how I could do that because I just felt so stuck and so I think embroiled in everything in me. And yeah, so that's where I started a year and a half ago. I can't believe it was even a year and a half ago. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So what was it like to be living in that space of stuckness? Like, how did it impact your day-to-day experience and your thoughts about relationship?
Um, I think I really truly felt that I wasn't good enough. And even though I didn't voice that to myself, and I certainly was picking unavailable men, whether that was by distance or emotionally unavailable, or frankly, in other relationships that I didn't know that they were. I mean, that was affecting. And so I just kept on thinking, you know, I didn't know. I just really didn't know why I was doing that. There was obvious a reason. Now I know that, but I had no idea that I just thought that's who was attracted to me was who was
Mhm.
attracted to me. I was putting out any type of vibe and I was allowing that to happen. So I think just trying to get through life. I didn't
Mhm.
really think that there was any way that I would be in a really good solid relationship at that point.
Yeah, okay, that's fascinating. Yeah, so then what was it that changed for you what were some of the breakthroughs that occurred for you?
Well, um I don't know if many of your people talk about it, but when I was doing some of the rim sessions with you, changed my life. In fact, I've told others, you know, I've done therapy off and on for 30 years, and just doing these rim sessions I did over the year with you were pivotal. I mean, unbelievable. And I think being in the community that you create the different 30 days were really fun. Hearing other women's stories, seeing how that you're not alone, but also learning the tools from just the pre-date, the pre-date mantra that you have.
Mhm.
Those are fun tools. Um, I think just everything, the meditations, I loved the church,
Unicorn church.
fun church. Of the dead old ladies. I think all of it is really impactful that you do. And so for me, I think I really just started to follow my intuition. Um,
Mhm.
I really got to know myself really deeply, and and realize that I could change things, and
Mhm.
I have to keep doing what I was doing, and that I was in control. And I think, I think it was 3 months after we started working together that I got a match, and I could never see myself. I'd never done it. I had been, with my husband for so long. And I know that there was dating apps before that, but I'd never used them. I come from a very small community. Um, and so I was like, oh, I can't do this. And I have two very close people in my life, two women, a cousin and a really good friend that had done Match for years, like 10 plus years, and did not have any luck. And so I had that in the back of my mind, these,
Mm.
right? These don't work and whatever. And you only, you have to worry about this. And so um, you really just talking about how to go into that with a good mindset and to really filter. And um, I think a big thing was when I was thinking it was hard, it was hard. And I found those people that were coming up were not my people. But if I really filtered well and paid attention, I think you had said, look at their eyes and really look at their eyes and look at their smiles. And if you connect with them, then reach out to them. Another thing was I sent a lot of messages. I didn't just sit back and wait for men to contact me. And I am probably the shyest person I've ever met in my life. I'm extroverted. People are surprised that way, but I am not a person that puts it out. And I think you and I had gone through a lot of things about how to interact and how to flirt. And I think you'd have to admit that I was pretty buttoned up. I was like, I didn't know how to flirt. I didn't know what flirting was. I felt very exposed when I did that. So I think you taught me everything. I have to say, there wasn't one thing during the dating or the relationship kind of process with this that you really had some great advice or some way to overcome it that was really helpful.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad to hear it. I mean, it's just really true. And if people are listening and they're like, what is she talking about, this RIM? This is called regenerating images in memory. And it is a process that gets to those subconscious blocks. And like you said, Steph, it's really getting to those core wounds. And I know that a lot of that is unknown to us until we kind of go into it and let ourselves release and transform and change our emotional responses to it. And that's what I noticed really was a big thing with our work together. And,
Yes.
it just shows because you said, oh, and then all of a sudden I'm like interested in doing this because you are different. So you do change when you change your inner world, your response to life changes. And that was really evident with you because I don't have any like expectation that people have to date if they want to do healing work with me. But
Yeah.
if that just naturally emerges, which oftentimes it does because of this work. So
Yeah.
I love that, you really tried on these new ways and got to benefit from it. And so tell us where you are now, because I think this is what's so exciting about, okay, a year and a half ago, things were really hard. You couldn't even imagine dating. In fact, you're just like, how can I just be a little bit happier in my life? Never mind that relationship thing. And then where are you now?
So amazingly enough, I'm in a great relationship. I've been dating someone now almost 3 months. And the easiest thing when people say, it's so easy. Everything, I was just looking the other day and I put, this is who my love is going to be. Everything that I wanted, he has. And I will say that, often people say it's not the package that you thought, and he is not the package, but so perfect for me. It's unbelievable. So, I struggled through my year. So I started, I think on December, I think it's so funny. I think it was like a couple of days before Christmas or a couple of days after. So in 2021, wait, that was last year, 2020. And we connected right before Christmas and had our first date on December 29th, 2021. So it was literally a year. I met some great people. I think that's, and I probably only had 15 to 20, I'll say 20 first dates, maybe not even that. And I met some really great people. Maybe one that was probably not so great, but I did a lot of filtering and I listened to you, and I would just really listen and try to make sure that I made the best decisions when I was looking at somebody. And I think that's what you have to do. I mean, I wouldn't suggest taking every date that asks you out. You really have to
Yeah.
be conscious of that. And I also think, really probably the first two guys that I dated more than once or twice, I should have definitely not even taken after the second date. I should have let those go. But I was still developing. I was still learning.
Yeah.
Letting go a lot of my old stuff. And then in the fall, when I think I was off for a while dating someone, and then decided that's not something I should be in. And then I got back on in the fall, and you and I really starting working more on a weekly basis, and you'd help me go through messages. And the more you helped me, the more I think, and just talking to me about candidates, as we call them.
Yeah. Candidates. Yep.
Candidates. I got to understand what I really should be honing in on for me personally, because I think it's so personal, right? And so
Yeah.
you and I talked about different, not specifics, but just how different people are. And I really got to know what really I wanted. So, yeah, so once we matched and I was open, yeah, again, I think I'm 5'5", he's 5'7". You know, I first went, oh gosh, he's only 5'7". We all have this thought process that these people that we meet have to maybe a certain age, or they need to look a certain way. And I would just say, if you have any inkling, just have a conversation and meet them for coffee. I loved your suggestion, meet for coffee. And really be conscious when you're talking to the person and really know how you feel, and I just really started paying attention to when I met people, and really how I felt. And yeah, it's so easy. I would have never guessed that. So we were talking before, and if you had told me that 3 months ago that I would be so very comfortable with a person and I would spend, days at their house like it was like I've known them for years, I would have said I can't even believe that. Like, that's just not even me. I'm very, like I said, I'm very shy and I'm very introverted. And it is truly like I have never had a relationship before. And I don't know that I would have been able to get here without all of the support, all of the tools, all of the fun things that we did to kind of open up and
Yeah.
know that it was available.
Yeah, I mean, we don't learn this stuff, and your example is kind of interesting too because you were in a long relationship, and so much of like our life is, created in these experiences and coming out after, years of being in a relationship and then into a new modern dating world. It can be really different. So, you know, I love that you get to be surprised and have like greater than you could ever imagine. I mean, that's the whole point. That's why I like to call it unicorn love sometimes, because it's like the love you don't think can exist, but it does. And
Yeah.
so, can I ask you questions about how you feel in your relationship? I mean, would you
Sure.
say
Yes.
you feel adored?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I totally feel adored and cherished and supported and heard. Yeah. I never thought this was possible. And I know
Yeah,
it is because of the work I did and the focus,
yeah,
but also that I really stuck out for the person. I waited and I really filtered, um and waited for the right person.
yep. Well, do you think that you a year and a half ago could recognize him?
Oh no.
Mhm.
No. And so, in 2019, I will tell you a funny story. In 2019, we almost took the exact same trip to England and Scotland. He was 2 days ahead of me. We were talking about traveling because that's another thing that he has that I wanted is traveling. And so we were talking about it, and he said, "Oh, I was in London this day." And I was like, "Well, I was there 2 days later." And then I went here in London. I said, "I was there 2 days later." We took the exact same trip. Um, and he said, I would have never noticed him. And
Wow.
I, I, I don't know if he would have noticed me, but, yeah. And he says I wasn't ready for you. Like he had a relationship before me,
Yeah,
had a match, and he worked through some things that I think he had to work through. So it's kind of amazing.
yep.
And
And
we
it's
live
amazing.
far, yeah, we live so far from each other. That's another thing I will say. You encourage me to kind of, I think I had 50 miles on my radius, which would have gotten him in the radius, but for some reason maybe not. So I think he increased his radius, but I mean he's 35 miles, but it's a long distance to get there. There's a lot
Yeah,
of people that would not have been open to that, right? So
right.
he's 50 minutes away from me. And so, yeah, we would have never met in the circles he goes or I have, we would have never met.
Yeah, I mean, that is the beauty of the online dating world, isn't it? I
Yes.
don't think I would have met Larry either, and I also don't think I would have recognized Larry a year before I had met him because I was in a different place. And there is something with, really getting aligned and knowing yourself and getting rid of all of the neuroses that we've collected around relationships that allows things to be different.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Think if you open your mind and you allow, um allow those roadblocks to be, or whatever we call them, that those really, whatever we put up the walls to really open up. I never, you know, I never thought. So, and here I am.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about what you and your guy are excited about in the future. Like what are you creating together that you've wanted to create?
Yeah. So, I mean, we are really excited about traveling together, and also creating a spiritual partnership.
Mm,
So, he kind of when he was like, "Oh, I'm your boyfriend," I'm like, "I'm 56 at the time. I'll be
Mhm.
57." I think I said I was 57, but I'll be 57 next week. And it was like, boyfriend, I'm not quite sure that falls right, you know? Oh, so no, I've said now, oh, I have a boyfriend. It's kind of funny, but so we just want to create a, a really great partnership that's, we want to travel together. And I think within the first maybe 4 or 5 weeks, he talked about living together. And that didn't scare me away, which was a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a ways away from that, but it's so easy. We'll see what happens,
Yeah. See,
right?
it's nice when it's easy to imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
and when you're not like having to calculate, well, if we've only known each other this long, it's like if you're with the energy of it, you're like, oh, this is what's kind of coming through this experience, and it's not a big deal. So, I love that. Well, what would you say to a woman who is feeling stuck, maybe just feels emotionally stuck or has had some difficult relationship stuff in the past and is, considering love coaching?
Oh, I will say, and I even told him, my boyfriend, that I had this love coach, that I had
Hmm.
that helped me um, basically navigate through this because I was unaware. I think it's invaluable. I wouldn't be here. I guarantee you I wouldn't be here. It might have taken me another 5 years to even get on online dating for many reasons, but also the support that you give and the support of the groups is invaluable. Going through the journey and listening to the wins and also the losses and the challenges
Yeah.
of other women. Um, I think it's nice to know that you're in a community. I think you do anything better when you're in a community of others like others. And we had a community all over the world. When I first started, there was a journalist that was living in Georgia.
Yeah.
We have someone. We had the actress, right, in
Yeah.
LA, and we
LA and
somebody in Paris and someone else in London,
yep.
and here in the States. I mean, all over, all different types of people that are just really trying to find, love. And
Yep.
um, I will also say that I was embarrassed to say that I wanted love in a relationship. Like it was a bad thing to want in your 50s, a good relationship. And I don't need a person. And I mean, I don't need somebody. I really wanted somebody to walk through life with me and have these great experiences.
Yeah.
And it was really important to me. And I can't even put a like. It's so invaluable to have someone like you who, especially when you are online dating, which I really don't know how you would even. I'm sure people meet people outside, but in this day and age, um, most people don't. And so if you have that ability to kind of see some things and get a flavor of the person before you even run into them. And I also, I truly believe that you see an essence of them, even though I've heard, probably negative stories, right? That,
Mm.
oh, these all people, I believe when you go in, and we've talked about this, when you go in and you're looking in wherever you do it, whatever online platform you have, the vibe you bring is what you're going to see. And every time I had kind of a negative thought process that day, I did not see great people and I didn't
Yeah.
see great connections. So I think all of this is really the energy you bring into it. And it might take a little while, but if it's worth it, who cares? Right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, what's it going to take to be able to navigate this with ease and to take care of yourself and to, leverage all of the information you're getting and let it unfold and then arrive here, however long it takes. I mean, I've had people meet people within weeks and they end up being together. I've had people, in 2 years or 6 months. I mean, there's all the things. And the common denominator was that they were willing to show up for themselves, get the healing tools and practices, and not give up. And there you go, you're here. And next week's your birthday. So next week you're turning 57.
Yes.
And you guys are going, tell about your birthday thing and then we'll wrap it up because it sounds fun.
So I work for Hilton, and so I get some great rates. So we're going to go,
Yeah.
we're in Chicago. We're going to stay at the Waldorf Astoria and
Oh,
have spa days, and just enjoy it. Just have fun in the city and have some great meals and maybe go to the art institutes. Yeah, so less than 3 months. And if you would have told me that, 4 months ago, I would have thought there's no way I'm going to be spending my birthday weekend with this great guy that literally adores me. Oh, by the way, he makes me coffee.
oh,
I forgot to say he cooks.
oh.
Amazing coffee.
You don't cook. This is so perfect. I remember when you told me that. You were like, oh, that's awesome.
I'd love to be somebody's sous chef. I cooked my entire marriage, right?
Right. Oh my gosh, that's such good news.
Yeah.
I love that ad.
He loves to do that. So, and he's just, it's really amazing. I will just say, I don't want anybody to go, oh my God, she's got a guy that cooks. But I think everything I wanted, truly he has.
Yeah.
Everything I'd like. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So do you see how you are his miracle and he is yours? I mean, that's when I think that it's just really like, okay, when you have this experience and see and hear from another person that, he's telling you, I've been looking for you.
Yeah. Yeah, he does say that. And it's, I will say we spent a lot of time talking. So we just got together when the Omicron thing happened. He had it. So we had it, didn't see each other after the first date for 10 days. He was diagnosed, I think, 2 days after. And then I was going on a trip and had previously told somebody I wouldn't see anybody for like 8 days before I went on the trip. So we did a lot of conversations and talk before we really saw each other. And then when we saw each other, I was pretty adamant that I wanted to be emotionally connected before I got into the physical sense.
Yeah.
And so we spent about 25 hours together before we became intimate. And for me, that was key because I really, I felt that it was the next step for me.
Yeah.
So I thought that was, and he likes that, even though he's like, okay, but then he really got into it and we learned a lot about each other. So, he said he had found his angel. Which is, I'm kind of like, okay, like that's kind of, but it's amazing how connected we are. It's pretty amazing. So.
I cannot wait. You owe me a picture. I want to see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm sure everybody else is so like inspired because it was just so inspiring to hear. So thank you. And if you are ready to have a conversation about this, reach out to me. I'm sure there's links wherever this is being posted. Set up a time to have a conversation about, what's possible for you. And we can just see everybody's different. Everybody has different history. And I can share with you what having some love coaching might look like for you. All right. We'll see you really soon. Bye, everyone.